Recorded live from Studio 12A in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. You're listening to the Josh and Friends Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends Podcast. I am your host. My name is Josh. And this week, we are here to honor the life and times of Tim Hanson. Now, if you follow this page, you know that Uncle Tim was one of my all-time favorite characters. He was the funny uncle, the clown, the jokester, and he was one hell of a chef. But he was also one of the kindest people that I'd ever met. He left us all too soon, but his memory will be forever preserved in the photos and videos and now this episode. So joining me today is another huge fan of Uncle Tim, and someone who's had just as many shared experiences with him over the years as I have. He's my brother, Mr. Andy Matlock. Andy Matlock, how are you doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing, brother?
Well, I wish we were here for a different reason, but we both decided that we're going to make this fun. We're gonna make this as fun as we can because, you know, it's Uncle Tim.
Yeah.
So it's been a rough year for the family. Last year, we lost Uncle Tom, and this year we lost Uncle Tim.
Yeah,
a few weeks ago.
Both on mom's side of the family.
Yeah. So now we're not going to get into specifics here, but basically he kind of just passed away in his chair in front of the TV. So
yeah,
it doesn't seem like he suffered terribly or anything like that.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah. But we're not here to focus on the negatives because we're here to celebrate the life and times of Mr. Timothy J. Hanson. Yeah. And so, of course, we all knew him as Uncle Tim. And I am not a big fan of obituaries. Now, I always post obituaries, but those are usually of famous people, right?
Yeah.
And everybody knows famous people. You've seen them like on TV or playing sports or whatever like that,
Sure.
But obituaries are kind of cold to me, and they state facts.
Yeah.
So basically, you read Uncle Tim's obituary, you're like, oh, okay, he liked cooking and he worked at blah blah blah, and you're like, oh, okay, that's nice. And I go, no, that does not even come close to what Tim was, because Tim was, I mean, come on, like Uncle Tim was. I mean, how would you rank Tim as one of the funniest people you've ever met? I mean, gotta be up there, right?
Yeah. Like he expanded like humor in our lives. Like it was, and I don't know, everything about him was he's just a funny guy. He's just one of those guys, like.
Yeah. I mean, the one line that I liked in the obituary, I'm not ripping on the obituary.
Yeah, they are what they are. They are what they are, right?
Right. But it says he will be remembered for his kindness and his sense of humor. And I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. But again, it doesn't show you anything, so, it's like, it also is one of those things where you hear those comedians talk about who the funniest people they ever met was. And it's always like one of their relatives, one of their uncles.
My father or
Exactly. And you'd never hear about them because, you hear about the comedian who made them.
Yeah. We hear about the Josh Matlocks of the world.
Exactly. The Josh Matlocks. Yeah. So what we're going to do today is we're going to try to play as many clips, play some pictures, tell some stories, and we're just going to have fun with this. So, and again, like you just mentioned, that's the big reason I do this podcast, is because, I don't usually talk to famous people who have been interviewed a million times. I talk to regular people like, yourself and Uncle Tim, who he asked me a long time ago to be a guest on the show. And
really?
This is why I do this stuff, man. Cause like, I want to get people like on the show.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like our tribute to to Uncle Tim.
Yeah.
So Uncle Tim, he was awesome because he was almost kind of like he was always kind of like a little kid. Like he always, wouldn't you say, like, I think Mom said this best, where Uncle Tim always got along best with the kids.
Yeah.
Because he was like kind of like a little kid, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he would make an effort to include everybody and to make us all laugh, and he was always hanging out with us and doing, dumb stuff with us, and then he would go adult for a while and then come back. He'd always kind of keep us in the loop somehow,
Yeah, exactly. Like he'd be like one of the guys that'd be like, oh, it's just the kids over there and they look like they're having a miserable time. Well, I'm going to go sit with the kids at the kid table or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of those things, My earliest memory of Tim is when I went back to visit Wisconsin, and it had to be like when you were born. And Tim kind of like took me for the afternoon, and I think we went to McDonald's or something like that. And, but the Dairy Queen right behind you, that very Dairy Queen right there.
This one? Yeah.
That Dairy Queen, he took me in the back, and he's basically, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't know. And he just started making like a hot fudge sundae, and he's just piling on the hot fudge onto this ice cream. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. Like, and then the new owners came out and they're like, what are you doing here? So Grandpa still had this Dairy Queen when you went there, obviously. Yeah. Like, oh, okay. So, okay.
Yep.
Huh.
Yep. So, I don't know when he sold it. I don't know either. Mid 80s.
Yeah, must have been maybe a couple years early to mid 80s. Yeah, I don't have like a first memory. I just have good memories. Right. Just like a lot of like just we've been going to Wisconsin since I was a little kid, so it's like kind of hard to figure that out.
And he would come visit us, but like I went to a Packer game with him, and that was fun. I even went to a Seahawks game with him. When the Seahawks were like relocating at Husky Stadium. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a picture of Tim and I with that lady with the boob thing. He thought that was pretty funny. But so I'm gonna kind of throw in some clips of Tim here.
Okay.
But Tim had a super dark sense of humor, which me, you, Mom, Dad, we all love that.
Yeah.
We are all about the dark sense of humor. I mean, we grew up with, watching comedians who had massively dark sense of humors. So back in the 80s, not that this ever stopped, I'm just saying in the 80s, like all these kids were starting to get like abducted and all this stuff. And it was like a big deal.
You're looking at Stephen Wayne Vineyard, one of over 1.5 million children reported missing each year. You can help find them by looking at the pictures and descriptions on one of these message displays now in major supermarkets. And please, jot down the toll-free number. With your help, we can reunite a missing child with loving parents. It can't be better than that.
Tim came up with this. They had to come up with like a password in case like a stranger came up. And I'm like, well, I can't get in your car or do anything. Like if you're, they're like, your mom is in the hospital. Come with us. I'm like, well, they gave us a password.
What's the secret password?
What's the password? So
I don't know. Can I tell this password out into the real world? Maybe we need to keep this secret, Josh. Like maybe that just in case, like.
I think it's time to reveal this, Andy.
What if I got kidnapped in a different country and I had to send out a memo and you're like, how do I know this is the real Andy?
Maybe.
Like, what if something like that happened?
Maybe we shouldn't tell it.
I don't think we should, but I know it. I promise you, I remember what it is, and it has something to do with the dessert from here.
Kinda, yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. This is over. It's over.
What?
It dies with Tim.
No.
I'm sorry.
All right.
So the secret password, Andy, what was the secret password?
I'll start it. It was wet
banana.
Boom, wet banana.
Wet banana. I still don't know what came about, but he's like, what could be the only thing that Uncle Tim?
But that's a weird phrase that no one would ever put together. No one's ever heard of a wet banana unless there's some kind of sexual connotation with that.
Yeah, exactly. So, which probably that could be the case. Yeah. So wet banana is the secret password, and I guess that's over. That's over with.
No more use of that.
So yeah. So if they weren't able to name that password, then I'm supposed to run the other way.
Yeah.
Okay. Now another kind of Tim thing is, back in the 80s and early 90s, there's these commercials, very popular commercials, and I know that you know them. But just as a refresher, I'm going to play a couple clips. One's going to be, one of the actual commercials, and let's just go to the clip.
The finer things in life. Happily, some are affordable, like Grey Poupon Dijon mustard. Grey Poupon is so fine, it's even made with white wine. Its original French Dijon recipe adds distinctive flavor to beef, pork, and poultry, salad dressing and sauces, and of course, sandwiches. So enjoy one of life's finer pleasures.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon? But of course.
Grey Poupon. It even has wine.
So Tim, I don't know who else would do this, but it's just hilarious. Like Tim he actually got his license plate that said Poupon.
Yeah.
On it, right?
Because of that commercial, right? There was that famous commercial that was like,
yeah.
Pardon me, would you like some Grey Poupon?
Yeah. So I actually had Tim record what it would be like when someone stopped right next to him.
Yeah.
I'll play that as well. Let's play that.
Pardon me, sir, but would you happen to have any Grey Poupon?
But of course.
So that's just classic Tim. It's like he actually would carry some Grey Poupon in his glove compartment, and he'd pull it out, and he's like, "But of course." And this happened. Like people would actually stop him, and they would ask him that question, just like because he couldn't be one-upped, right? So like, he'd be like, "That has to be like." There has to be people that like pulled it over and thought they were going to be funny, but like he wanted someone
and then he pulled out of his compartment like an actual. They were like, "What?"
So that's classic Tim right there.
Oh man, that's ridiculous.
That's great.
But he spent extra money on a license plate that said Poupon
just for that joke. Just Poupon. Yeah. Jesus, that's going a long way for that, right? And I don't know if I think that I don't know if he did that before or after the Wayne's World, because Wayne's World did that too. I think they pulled over and they're like, "You have any Grey Poupon?" I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I have a clip of that too. Let's play that.
Pardon me. Do you have any Grey Poupon?
One of the things that, we talked about when we first started this show here is how dark of a sense of humor that Tim has. I swear to God, Andy, so many of Tim's jokes and comments over the years involve death.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's always talking about death. And I didn't realize it until he actually died himself. Yeah. But I'm gonna play a little montage.
Oh my gosh.
It's hilarious. No, it's funny. Because he's always talking, just in passing, just always talking, and come on, it's hilarious. He's always talking about it. So I'm gonna play a little montage of
gotta happen to everybody.
So great. All right, let's play it.
I'll show you where the body is. Down here. Shooting the deer out of the window and killing a buck.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That was kind of a happy moment.
How come it always involves killing and finding...
No. Is there a pattern here? You want me to get the gun? Mom, Taffy didn't show up. I heard some shots at the Hansons again. Oh my God, look, there's Mom.
Oh my God. I didn't even turn.
Hi, Cindy.
Oh my God, this is getting bad. Let's talk about some juicy stuff.
I thought you were talking about juicy stuff like running people through Grandpa's meat saw down here. It's pretty juicy. I was sound asleep when I got that deer. I was sprawled out of my blind sleeping, and I heard this crack, and I woke up, and there it was looking at me just like that. And then I got up and killed it. And then we ate it, pretty much, and put his head on the wall for years of enjoyment. That's what we do in Wisconsin.
Oh no! Hey, I'm not recording. It's on standby. You can talk about more murder stories and.
Okay. What's so depressing about that? It's another phase of life. Come on, I'll show you.
Oh my god.
Watch.
Do I dare ask what's in this room?
This is where we keep the bodies. This is my favorite room.
Listen, they're gonna come in. And they're gonna like jump on me and Andy, like first thing in the morning.
We have a solution for that. And when they come down to see if we're open, we could have a big shotgun. You guys awake? If we could get away with it. Ted, come get your kid. And bring the shop back. We hung the deer up on come along, and you can notice right here, deer blood. This is where we slayed the deer. Maybe it wasn't a deer. We don't know.
I mean, come on, that's hilarious. It's just Uncle Tim, man. And then I would go through like his texts and his emails over the years. I went through his texts and emails. More death. So he even sent, and he literally sent a video to me. This is years ago. Like, I don't know. I went back to like 2015 or something like that. He sent like the Hearse song. It was like a song. So,
jeez, yeah. I mean, he loved all those like horror movies. We'd always rent like all those Jason and Freddy movies and stuff, and Michael Myers and like it's like I feel like other kids were like at my age, like having nightmares, and I'm just like, we're all up just like laughing, like watching these movies, like it's like it's like funny, like. Oh,
it was great. Yeah, Tim really loved, like you said, he really loved the slasher ones, like Michael Myers and
Jason.
Not Freddy, but Jason. Yes.
Yeah, he loved Jason.
Yep, Jason. He loved us so much. And I remember him one time just telling me, he goes, Friday the 13th is great. He goes, but Friday the 13th Part 2, that's what gets real good. I'm like, what? I'm like, all right. Yeah, and then he would walk around. He'd always hum the songs. Like, remember, he'd be like, and we'd be like, what the? Tim would just start laughing.
Those are good times. Just watching,
those are good times.
Watching horror movies at Grandma and Grandpa's place. Like,
Mom's like, hey, can you guys got a pad or something? All right. I don't know. And I don't know if this is like, I don't even know if this episode is going to be interesting to anybody else, but I don't care because this is our dedication to Uncle Tim. And you know what? You're going to learn something. You're going to learn something. And then again, that's the point of this episode, is to learn about someone that was on this planet who was hilarious, especially to us. But that's why I want everybody to meet Tim.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't know Tim, and even people. Andy, I have this video that I posted. I think it was the raccoon one.
Yeah.
I
just watched that. I just watched that recently.
Got a lot of views,
dude.
This raccoon won't be doing much roaming of the night anymore. He's being consumed by nature. What are those kids doing over there? Stop laughing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to clean up the crime scene with a little gasoline.
Oh, God.
We sold the house because our neighbors kept throwing dead raccoons all over. Remember Uncle Tim? Yeah, last time I saw him, he's running down the road on fire.
Wait, let's...
hey, we'll have it on tape.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God!
I just love the smell of burning maggots in the morning. All right, moving along to our next house.
like we were a team. Like we were a...
Yeah. Like an actual crew of like...
a disposal team. That was a good.
Yeah, so we're basically, it was like we were touring the house, and Tim's like, you know what? I got to take care of this raccoon. We got to they're trying to sell the house or something like that, or they just sold the house, and he's like, "Gotta get rid of this." It's like right underneath the sign.
Yeah, right in front of the house. There's a dead raccoon. Like, out rural, it's like way at the end of the driveway, but it was still like, right in front of the house.
Yeah, so it's so funny, man. So yeah, I'll have to post a link to that or something. It's hilarious if you want to check it out. So just to piggyback on the dark humor of Tim, we were visiting great grandma. You were real small still, but we were visiting great grandma. She had to be in her late 90s at this point in time.
Yeah.
And she was not like Dub. Like, she was really hard to understand. I mean, I couldn't understand her. Mom could understand her, but I couldn't understand her.
Yeah.
She was be like, it was really hard to understand her.
Sure.
Dub, our grandpa now, he's real sharp still, well into his 90s. So, but grandma was not. And I remember us leaving, and we get out to the car, and I was like, she was really hard to understand. And he looks at me and he goes, "Listen to me. If I ever get to be like that, just take a pillow and smother me." And I started laughing. I'm like, "Oh my God." And he goes, but he wasn't laughing. I was like, "You get serious." And I was like, wow. Holy crap. That's Uncle Tim. Uncle Tim right there. Yeah. So you know what, Andy? I'm glad that we didn't get to the point where I had to go and smother Tim.
Yeah.
And end it. So, yikes. But yeah, there's Uncle Tim. Okay.
Oh God.
Another example of that is when Uncle Tom died in 2021, early 2021. I sent a message to Tim and I said, "Hey man, I'm sorry to hear about your brother." And his response, I like how he's never, I don't know if he's like just not ever serious or what. I mean, this is just last year.
Yeah.
I go, "Sorry to hear about your brother, man." And his response was, "Yeah, he was a lot of fun. Thanks." And I'm like, wow. Obviously he's being sarcastic because remember, like in all these videos, he's like, my evil brother Tom. And like, remember they got in like Tom had some issues where like, Tim's like one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, but Tom had a temper, right? So
yeah.
Like, Tom would flip out on you.
And
like,
they would both drink and they would both get into it. And
Tim would probably say some smart ass, which that Tom with us
that Tom couldn't come back from, so he'd probably just hit him.
Yeah, like, and no, he beat him up bad.
Yeah.
Put him in the hospital. Yeah. So, but like he always would go back to that. He's like, "Oh yeah, Tom, great great memories." Oh my God.
Jesus.
When I grew up, I wanted to be just like my evil brother Tom. Tom decided to see if he could push Ted through the other.
Didn't he have a broken arm or something?
Yeah, he had a broken arm too, so he decided to break it even more.
He said he fell on his good arm and all he had was his broken arm.
Jeez.
Tom had him pinned down, was just wailing on him like this.
Knocked him out, didn't he?
Yeah,
that's what he said.
He beat him unconscious. Tom,
Jesus, he likes to beat people unconscious, apparently.
Tom enjoys a good beating. There's nothing like a good beating to get your day going. You look like my brother Tom.
That is the 5th time I've heard that.
I really don't like you anymore.
No seriousness at any time.
Right. Yeah. So in 2003, our grandma, Muggs, she passed away from dementia, and Mom actually flew out to Wisconsin for the funeral.
I did too.
Were you there for the funeral?
Yeah.
Must have been a happy time.
Yeah. Everybody at the funeral calling me Tom because I look like Tom.
Yeah. And I remember them telling you that at the next year. So basically, later that year, Grandpa started dating Audrey.
Yeah, long time friend.
Yeah, like for decades, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she had lost her husband a while back, and then they announced that they were going to get married the following summer.
Yeah.
So Mom decided that she'd have the boys represent the Matlock boys, the brothers.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So we flew out there, And this party is pretty awesome, man. That party was pretty awesome. So
legit.
Yeah. So like they had, what was it? What was Audrey's daughter's name? Do you remember her daughter's name? I can't remember her daughter's name.
The one that worked with Chef Paul.
Yeah. So her daughter, she basically ran the Chef Paul empire.
Yeah.
You know, she was the head honcho of that operation. And he was going to come up and help host the whole get together, the whole party, the whole celebration there. And it was elaborate. They had like a band, like, and everything. It was wild. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
There was dudes cooking a pig.
Oh, it was nuts.
A whole pig. It was
yeah,
like, holy crap.
Everybody in the entourage bringing, dishes in and stuff like that. But Tim was going to be the guy that's going to be running the kind of like the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
All the little things. He's like, running. He's like the runner and everything. And he give us stuff to like take out and stuff like that. But Tim's just running back and forth. I'm like, man, for me, that'd be like stressful. But for him, he's just joking the entire time and like sipping on beers and just chopping stuff up. And
he was playing sous chef for Chef Paul.
Yeah.
Even though Tim was a chef in his own right,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Tim was a legit, like, chef. He loved to cook, man. So now I know mom, after we went, she was kind of like, upset that she didn't go. I think she kind of regretted that she didn't go. But the good thing about her not going was that I was documenting pretty much everything. Right.
Yeah.
And of course, because I was a video major, I always want to go where action is. And of course, who am I drawn to with the action? That's Uncle Tim, right?
Yeah.
So Uncle Tim's not only just cracking jokes the entire time, but he's in there having fun.
He didn't mind having the camera in his face.
Oh,
he kind of enjoyed it. So that's why we could get so much footage of him, right? Or you could, yeah.
Some people don't like that, but
yeah, exactly. Some people get shy or weird, but he was just like the same freaking dude. It's awesome.
Yeah. You get a couple beers and people, they don't care that much, but yeah. So now, speaking of drinking beers, we were there drinking beers during that day. Fun. Like, I mean, just great time. It was like all ages, little kids running around, people from probably like in their 90s to, 5. I don't even know, but it was fun. It was there was right on the lake,
Uncle Todd brought a keg of his own beer.
Fantastic beer. Fantastic.
I got really drunk off of it. It was really, really strong.
Right.
Let's just say I had a rough morning the next day.
Well, yeah. So basically, that story we went to, after everything started dying out, people started leaving and stuff like that. You and I are like, let's hit the bar, man.
Let's go out.
And Tim's like, I'll go with you. I've been working all day. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So, and Todd, Todd likes bars too. So he's like,
yeah, we all went, huh?
Yeah. So Todd's like, yeah, I'll drive. Let's go. So we went and this isn't an area where everything's real close by. We had to drive a little ways. We didn't even, you and I, we don't even know where the heck we are. Tim hardly knows where we are. So Todd drove us out there and we're out having a good time. Maybe a too good of time, because Todd kept warning us. He's like, all right, you guys ready to go? And we're like, we're having a good time, man. We don't want to go. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock maybe. It's like things are just getting started, Todd.
It's just getting good, man. We're like, you and I are like, we're closing down bars every weekend. Are you kidding? We're in a new place. This is hilarious. This is awesome, man. This is right up our alley. So he kept warning us, and I think Tim leaned over and he goes, I think he said something like, he's like, fuck him, let him leave. And I go, whoa. And so
how are we gonna get back though? Like, there's no Uber, there's no.
Not about that. So he left, and I go, I was kind of like, I don't want to like upset Todd, but Todd left. He left. Yeah. And I don't think he gave a shit. And I was like, all right, I don't blame Todd at all. This is all us. So we were like, now fast forward to the bar closing.
Yeah.
This isn't like, we have cell phones, because it's like, well, I think we might have had cell phones, but it wasn't like, smartphones or anything like that.
Yeah.
So we're just like,
yeah.
Okay. No one's awake or anything like that, and we don't know really where we are. So the girl's like, yeah, you can get a ride back to our place or whatever. And I was like, oh, great. So
yeah. And then I think we went back there, and then I remember Tim looking in her pantry because he was like, I'm kind of hungry, like, and she didn't have like anything. She didn't have like, she had like a loaf of bread, like and nothing else. Like, and I remember him talking shit, kind of like, you don't have any food, like,
yeah.
And then finally, we finally got her to take us all the way back to.
Well, wait, that's also when I passed out, and the one thing that they did have was peanut butter, and she took a glob, and I was like, probably like, and she put like peanut butter in my mouth or something like that. And I fucking like, anytime you're like messed with when you're like passed out.
Yeah.
You're
it's
like,
not cool.
You do a jerk like reaction. What the fuck? Like,
yeah.
So it pissed her off even further. The fact that she didn't have food, and Tim was probably making fun of her, and the fact that I snapped at her. She's like, okay, all right. So then we're like, that's great. And we're all looking at each other like, we don't know where we are.
Yeah.
She goes, I'll drive you. And Tim's like, I think I might be able to get us home. Like,
oh god.
So we're driving up, and there was a lot of people that were crashing at the house or the house right next door.
Oh yeah. I don't think I remember getting back there.
So I remember getting back because we were getting back, and Tim actually said, I think I have him on camera. Like, here, I'll play that. I'll play the clip of Tim.
Drove up to the driveway and I hear birds are coming on. I go, I'm going to bed. Well, it's official. I have a problem.
So Tim's like, I can hear the birds coming out. The sun's like starting to like the sunrise, and we're like, oh my god. So we get there, the sun's coming up, and I swear, Andy, we lay down for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, and then everyone starts showing up for breakfast. And I was like, uh-oh. And I think you kind of like kept sleeping, but I was like,
I was sick.
They're like, hey, can you help out? And like, what's her name was like,
yeah,
can you help out? And I go, what? And I go, okay, yeah. So I started like, and I was like trying to like help out, and we're peeling like pork,
Yeah.
Like, and I go, am I doing it right? And she goes, yeah, just like that, but faster. And I'm like, oh God. All right. Okay. Oh yeah. So yeah, we were not doing well that next morning. My head was really cloudy, and I go out, and I'm all right. Time to start documenting everything again. And I go out and I turn on my camera, and this is when the famous, I mean, Tim loved this.
Everybody loved it in retrospect, but it was very awkward probably when it happened.
Oh, it's so bad. Cause like, I started filming, I think I started filming the prep, or like, them prepping for breakfast. And I went out and I started filming like, kind of like the, the awesome lake. And I turn around, and then Chef Paul is there. And I was like, good morning, sir, or something like that. And he's like, he goes, it's very rude to stick a camera in one's face this early in the morning. And I was like, oh God. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so horrified right now. I was like, I turned it off immediately. I was like, oh, that was so bad. And I told Tim later, and Tim, until the day he died, was probably his favorite quote. And we would all bring it up from then on. It was like the best thing ever. Tim was like, it's very rude.
It's very rude.
Yeah. So Tim loved that. He loved that. And, I'll take credit for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Tim loved it. So
yeah. You had to stick a camera in the one famous guy's face right in the morning before he put on his makeup.
Yeah. And he's just sitting there. Like, I think he was like kind of like cooking up whatever he was. I don't know, eggs or something. I don't know. But
is Chef Paul still around?
He is not around. He died like maybe I don't know, 5 years after that or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Never heard about that. I don't think.
He did look the healthiest.
Yeah, he's a big dude, man. Yeah. He's on in a wheelchair, I think.
It reminded me of Dom DeLuise. I still see all the products like in the store. Chef Paul.
Yeah.
The Chef Paul empire is still doing well. It looks like from what I see in the stores. It's still I see it all over. Every other store I go to. I actually look too. I'm like, do they have the Chef Paul seasoning? Oh, they do. Chef Paul Prudhomme.
Crazy.
Yep. So rest in peace, Chef Paul and him. Okay, so there was the time that some of that, going back to that footage that we had when we went back. So I think it was, I don't know if it was the next day that we went back for the tour and the Raccoon stuff. I think we went back to Dub.
I think so.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Because we went down, we're just filming, just whatever. I'm following him around. I'm doing a tour with Tim, and he's talking about hilarious stuff that happened within like the house, like shooting deer from from Dub's like room and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But one of the things that was funny was when he was down there and we're just drinking beers down in the basement, and he made you laugh so hard. There was a part that he made you laugh like, I mean, you almost lost it. He was making you laugh so hard. I can't remember what it was about.
Oh my God. Dub, he's pissing in bottles. I know everything. Every step of the way.
Hey, you're going to pop a blood vessel. Stop.
There were so many times that he would make us laugh so hard that it was like literally like tears coming out of our eyes. But speaking of lines that I remember from that weekend, Tim said something that I still quote probably more than anything I ever quote to this day, is when someone goes, "How was it? How did it taste?" Do you know what I always say? I always say this now.
What?
It's damn near inedible.
Oh, that's damn near inedible.
Well, hopefully there's...
No, it's good.
So Tim, they had these two guys in the back. They were like doing garbage can chicken.
Oh yeah.
And Tim's like, chicken out of a garbage can. That sounds great. And we're like, did you guys wash this first? And they're like, yeah, we gave it a rinse.
It was a new garbage can.
Yeah. And Tim's like, well, let's try some of this garbage can chicken. And so Tim takes a bite.
It was actually really good.
Yeah. And Tim looks at me and he goes, it's damn near inedible. So great. Yeah. So I love that. But Tim was a huge music fan as well. So not all of our uncles are big music fans. Todd, definitely. Terry, definitely. Not so much Mom, not so much Ted even. I mean, I know Ted likes music. Obviously, some of them like music, but some of the brothers love music.
Yeah.
Tim was one of those people who showed me a lot of groups. And
really?
Yeah. So one of the things that Tim really showed me, because Dad wasn't a huge fan of, like the corporate rock, kind of like that kind of deal. But that's right in Tim's wheelhouse. Like he graduated in like 77 or something like that, or 78, 77, something like that. So all of those bands like, Boston, Styx, like, REO Speedwagon and stuff like that. He was, in his formative years, he was all that stuff. Right. So I remember because of Tim, I bought Fleetwood Mac's Greatest Hits, the green Greatest Hits.
Yep.
And I was like, hey, I bought Fleetwood Mac's Greatest Hits because, he was talking about Fleetwood Mac. And he goes, that's okay. And I go, oh, it's okay. And he goes, yeah, it's not the best album to buy, though. Best album to buy is Rumors.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit.
You're like, I just spent all my money on this.
Yeah, I'm like, man. Back in the day, it's like you spend so much money on these.
Yeah, well, I need to save up $17.99 again.
Dang it. Yeah, but it's an okay retrospective, but Rumors is almost like a Greatest Hits all in itself. You know?
Yeah, sure.
But he said I have to have Rumors, so I had to buy Rumors after that.
Got to. Then you had to buy the rest of them.
Yeah, it's just how it goes, man. It's just how it goes. I remember also we were driving somewhere. Might have been me, you, and him. And we were in his Jeep. And we were going down the road. And he had this tape. I don't know if it was a mixtape or what, but he had this tape. And it had Warren Zevon. Werewolves of London.
Werewolves of London.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Man, I love this song." And he goes, especially this part. And he's like, in the part where he goes, and his hair was perfect. His hair was perfect. And he kept rewinding it. And he goes, and his hair was perfect. I was like, yeah, that's Uncle Tim. All right. So that always, every time I hear that song, I kind of laugh because I'm like, that's Uncle Tim right there. It's Warm Zevon, Werewolves of London right there.
Yeah.
Tim was also a big Beatles fan. And I saw a text where basically last week, John Lennon was murdered. God, when was it now? 42 years ago?
Wow.
Something crazy. Something like that. Back in 1980. And I guess he said that he was 21 when John Lennon was assassinated. And he told me that he was a bartender at a bowling alley in New London.
Really?
I heard the news because when that news came out, they announced it on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
An unspeakable tragedy confirmed to us by ABC News in New York City. John Lennon, outside of his apartment building on the west side of New York City, the most famous perhaps of all of the Beatles, shot twice in the back, rushed to Roosevelt Hospital, dead on arrival.
And that's when most of the country heard it. They were like, John Lennon was murdered.
Yeah. Yeah, who's the announcer guy?
Howard Cosell.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I remember that.
Yep.
I mean, I don't remember it, but I remember seeing the clip.
yeah, it's a famous clip, and it makes sense because if he was working as a bartender, that happened at night. So if it was well into the evening, so
everybody's just kind of sitting around watching TV, or Can
you imagine? You're like, what? Like what the heck? Yeah. John Lennon, like what?
And that's how they have to break in because like there's no other good medium to like tell people like immediately like that. They're like, well, here it is. Like this isn't football related, but
I mean, eventually I think they broke in with other breaking news and stuff like that. But yikes!
But like, have they ever broken into a football game mid-football game with anything else like that ever?
Not like that.
That's crazy, huh?
I don't remember hearing stuff like that. That's a huge news story.
Yeah, it's like so big to where they're like, we gotta say something about that.
Right.
Like,
I mean, even after their breakup, they were the most famous band in the world. So when crazy. One of those guys dies, the way he died.
Yeah, the way he died too.
Shot in the back several times. Yeah, that's not good. Sticking with the Beatles kind of theme here, the one time Tim pissed me off.
Oh, shit.
Was he sent a message to me. This is like, I don't know when this was. This was a few months ago.
Yeah.
Because remember, he would always send me these texts of like, whoever died, kind of like what I do on Facebook. I just post everybody, that.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh my God. He goes, R.I.P. Rest in peace, Paul McCartney. And I go, and he goes, I'm freaking out with exclamations, right?
What?
I'm like, oh my God, what? And I'm like frantically searching like all the news, sites and stuff like that, trying to get dates and stuff like that. And I go, are you serious? And I go, I can't find this. And he goes, and he replies with, happy belated April Fool's Day. The day after April Fool.
Happy belated?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. See what I mean? Like with him and death? Oh, big joke to you? All right. So, now, okay.
Oh God.
Now, do you remember when Todd Uncle Todd opened up his brewery?
Yes.
You're pretty young too. I mean, I was.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember it though.
Yeah. And that was really cool. Tim had a brewery going, and
Tim was, Todd was brewing beer, and Tim was like the restaurant kind of part of it.
Yeah, so he was working as like the guy in the back, which is brilliant.
Yeah,
think about it, like Todd was awesome at making beer.
Yeah,
Tim was awesome at like being a chef.
Oh, I wish that would have like worked out for a long time. That would have been awesome.
Know, right?
Yeah.
So I remember this. So yeah, the beer was awesome. Tim would make, I don't know if it was like, lunch stuff, and I think it was primarily lunch stuff, but maybe they had other stuff too. I remember Tim goes, "You got to try the stuffed mushrooms." And I'm like, ugh. Mushrooms? I'm like, but they're like these big mushrooms. And I don't know what's inside of them, but I think, mom and dad, I don't know if dad was there. I don't know. I can never remember who was always there.
Yeah, I know. Because like me, you and mom went a bunch of times, and then dad came. Like dad would come for like a little bit and then leave. Right.
Exactly. So I think mom ordered the stuffed mushroom, and I was like, I'll try the inside of the mushroom. And I was like, oh my God, it's so good, right?
Yeah.
But an example of that, of how good the food was, I don't know if you remember this story. So Tim, during he was telling this story about how some guy came in for lunch, and he had a beer and ordered a sandwich, and I don't know, one of the waiters or maybe it was Todd, I don't know. He goes, and the guy's like really serious, and he goes, "Hey, who made this sandwich?" He goes, "Well, the guy in the back." And he goes, "Can you get that person out here right now?"
Oh gosh.
And they're like, "Uh-oh. Yeah, is there something wrong?" He's like, I want to speak to that guy. He just like sits there like this. and they go back and tell Tim. Tim's like, "Holy shit, what the hell's going on?" Tim goes out there, and the guy's like, "You made this sandwich?" And Tim's like, "Yeah, is there a problem?" And he goes, "I just wanted to meet the guy that made the best goddamn sandwich that I've ever had in my entire life."
Wow. It's like, dude,
oh shit.
Dude, there's like skits on that like online now. There's like have you ever seen that? Like where people go up to like a fast food restaurant, "Hey, who made this?"
Yeah, right.
Who made this? And they're like, "This is awesome, man."
Yeah. Before TikTok, you just had to hear these stories, right?
Tim made that up?
Yeah.
or the guy that did that made that up? That's
Tim's
amazing.
the OG of that story.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So Tim's like, "Oh, Jesus, I almost had a freaking heart attack. Jesus." Oh, God.
So you feel better now?
I think I'll stand up straight from now on. I'm up there now, boy. My self-esteem has risen 100% in the last 30 seconds.
You got to do that with more things. What? Who made this drink? Who made this?
Yeah. Who made this? Yeah. No. But Tim was always, Tim was not serious about a lot of things, but Tim was serious about when it came to food, right?
Yeah.
So he's very professional when it was like, he ran like that big country club, right?
Yeah.
Like that. He was the head chef of this big, nice country club for years and years. And, I'm just glad that we kind of got a little taste of him, cooking for us or, prepping food and stuff like that. Cause I always think back now, like Howard Stern, he always talks about like when Eddie Van Halen died. He's like, it's so crazy because like, that's one of the greatest guitarists to ever live. And he had all that talent. And then all of a sudden, boom, now it's gone. Does not exist anymore. It's gone. And I always think about that now. I'm like, oh God, yeah, because Tim was so funny and he was so likable, but he had those super talents of like all those, kind of skills. Yeah. And now they're just gone. But again, this is why I record video and take pictures and all this stuff.
Yeah, we're just making a little family meal here today. Here, Josh. When you drop the fish, you want to drop it away from you. How hard you go? If you just drop it in there, the grease will splatter and burn it. So you set it down and you push it away from it and drop it. That's how you do it.
Watch it. This direction and it's fall right there.
Another interesting fact about Tim that I didn't see listed in his obituary, was that he told me that he worked on an ambulance for 4 year. 4 years he worked on an ambulance. And he said he saw some pretty horrifying stuff. I mean, as you can imagine.
Car wrecks and stuff. I remember him
motorcycle accident.
Talking about really bad wrecks and stuff.
Awful. Of course, Tim wants to work.
I think it was like, Jesus, this is depressing.
Yeah, maybe that added to like some of his death humor. I don't know.
Yeah. You probably. I mean, a job like that, you probably have to have a sense of humor to
absolutely
move past it, man. It's you're seeing bad stuff on the road, and
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's why I remember I always tell people when I go into the hospital, even if I'm in like an extreme pain. I remember I went to get my appendix out, and the guy next to me, he's like, they have those kind of like those dividers, it's kind of like a curtain. And the guy next to me, he's just screaming.
Oh God.
And I guess he was in a motorcycle accident. And I was like, God, just all they're hearing all day is basically kind of like guys like that, or guys who are or jerks, they're just angry, and so they're just kind of taking it out on, on the poor people that are working there.
Yeah.
And I always just try to joke around, like, anything I can to make jokes, anything. So, but when he did say that he wanted to be on the podcast, he said it a couple times actually. And I don't know. I think I was waiting to kind of go on to do the video, kind of because I wanted to, get his mannerisms and stuff like that on, because, talking about certain things, especially with Tim's sense of humor, it'd be best to have him on film. Because he's his dark sense of humor and his face, you have to have that face.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Lee's best when you could see like him talking about these jokes, right?
Yeah.
So, but Tim, he said that he's like, yeah, I could come on. We could talk about, Wisconsin serial killers. And I'm like, oh my
God. which there's plenty to talk about.
Exactly. So it would have been good for this year with the Dahmer craze, the crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's got to see that. I wonder if he got to see that.
I don't know.
Pretty close.
Yeah, I doubt it.
But I mean, we can't go on and on here, but Tim did send me a picture from out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
And this is awesome. I did not know this. This caught me off guard. It was weird. It was like, Andy, he just sent me, it was like, I looked back at the text and it was just, there's no text for, I don't know, a month.
Yeah.
He sends this picture, right? And it was of a potato sitting on the top of his stove. And I'm like, what is that? Why are you sending me a picture of a potato sitting on a stove? And he goes, that's not a potato. It's a rock. And I go,
okay. Second question. Why do you have a rock?
Why are you sending me a picture of a rock on your stove? And he goes, you gave that to me.
What?
You gave that to me like 30 years ago.
What?
And I go, what? And I was like, dude, no way. So I was like, that kind of like, I don't know, that kind of like touched me in a weird way. Like I was like,
yeah. He kept a rock that you gave him 30 years ago.
I thought it was hilarious, Andy, that I found a rock that looked like a potato.
Oh, it looked like, so that was probably something that you said, or?
Yeah, I was like, dude, this rock looks just like a potato, and I must have gave it to him or something like that. And he kept it for 30 years.
Oh.
So I kind of had something that is similar, kind of. I mean, it's a memory that I wanted to share. I went to my first Packers game against the Dolphins, and it was like I think it was a preseason game that I went to see. And I got to see Dan Marino play in Lambeau Field.
That was my next question. Was Marino still playing?
Yeah. But, it's preseason, so he probably played like, the first quarter or something.
Yeah. First drive.
And what's funny is I went down, remember Damon Heward?
Yep.
And he was playing for the Dolphins.
Whoa.
And I was like, what can I say to Damon? Because he was right in front of me. And I was like, what can I say to him that'd make him turn around? If I shouted his name, he probably wouldn't do anything. But if I said a word that nobody in the country knows besides me, maybe he'll turn around.
Would you yell up Puyallup?
I yelled up Puyallup. And he turned around and I go, yeah!
Puyallup!
Yep, Puyallup. And if people are probably going, what the heck is Puyallup? And it's a town that's, just south of where we grew up.
Yeah, it's spelled weird and native, and it's hard. Yeah. It's hard if you look at the word. You're like, what? Puyu. Yeah, people don't. They can't do it.
Super hard to say. So yeah, I yelled that. But Andy, I did save and you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna go grab it. Hold on for 1 sec.
All right.
I was trying to think of something that, you know, if I got a souvenir from the game that was like, you know, just, I don't know. Hey, I got a t-shirt, then it'd probably be gone, right? Or if I got, like, I'm just trying to think of anything, like, I don't know, a banner or a, what do you get at a game? I don't know. So I wanted to keep something unique from the game. And my idea was like, all right, Tim and I had beers and they had these cups.
Yeah.
I saved our cups of beer. God, these are small cups, huh?
And they're like plastic
right.
Plastic coating, probably, right? They're
just so one of these was Tim's, and yeah, so I saved these cups. So that's kind of like me saving the potato, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, is there anything else that you want to add? I mean, Tim was a one of a kind dude. I hope that watching this, people get some sense of. They're certainly going to know that, wow, that guy's really into death.
You know, death is natural. It's a beautiful thing. Everyone's got to die. Some people just need to die in more pieces than others.
But yeah, he's mom's little brother. Mom's lost two younger brothers.
Yeah.
In the last year and a half. So sucks. But anything else you want to add, buddy? Like any other stories that stick out that I have, you know, failed to mention?
I remember him coming to my basketball game when I was in 5th grade or 6th grade or something like that. I think it was 5th grade.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I remember he made us lamb chops. That was the first time I had lamb. That was so good. It was like really good. You know, there's just so many times, but he's just I think he was both of our favorite uncle when we were growing up. And then when we got older, you know, Ted, all these guys, you know, Tom, we even had fun with Tom, all of them, different. You know, yeah, they really are. Terry, I love Terry and Todd. I mean, all those guys, they're fun, but yeah, Tim, that one, it wouldn't really hurt, man. He's a good guy.
Yeah. You know, all I can tell people is, you know, get as many clips as you can. I remember I told Ryan, his dad he was going in for some surgery, and it was like a really serious surgery. And I go, man, take some video of him, ask him some questions about, you know, anything about his past. And he goes, that's some really good advice. Cause like he actually said his goodbyes to him, but he pulled through the surgery. So it was awesome.
Yeah.
That was good. But he thanked me for that. And I just think that, I know Mom doesn't like us taking video of her, but I really always want to get video of people. And like you said, man, not everybody likes to be, you know, on video, or not everyone likes to have pictures taken of them. I get that. But I'm so glad that I took video of Tim when I did, because that was kind of like my ideal time period for Tim, because we were at an age where we can have fun and, like, you know, have drinks with him, and he was still like that peak, like, you know, funny, super sharp dude, you know, and it was just so fun to be able to like experience everything we did with him and joke the way we were with him. And
did you show anything from him downstairs, like talking about, oh, see the screwdriver? This is probably going to Ted.
Yeah.
This is the tool room, which has been obviously, it looks like my brothers have stole every tool without me knowing it since I've been here last. Because used to have all sorts of neat things that I don't have. Oh, look, they left a screwdriver for me.
Sarcasm was just amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, it's so good.
That will be missed. I there's even times now when I want to, just today, I remember you sent me that video of that little Chucky murder doll girl.
Yeah, it's like some like a Chucky movie, but it's got some like weird whatever. It's like a robot. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, Tim would have loved this, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I want to send this to Tim so bad.
I know.
So, yeah.
I know.
And I'm sure Mom has those feelings. I mean, she was probably the closest person to Tim, right? I mean, she had to be. She talked to him all the time. So I know she's having a tough time, obviously. But that's why I wanted to do this, because we wanted to focus on the good. I want to focus on the funny times, and there are many. We're forgetting tons of great stories, but I'm sure Mom will fill us in. And
yeah.
Oh, you forgot this story.
Correct us after the fact, and you got this wrong. You got that wrong.
That happened. That is not how that happened. Damn kids! Swear to God.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, this is going to be our last episode for this year together. Yeah, you and I here. But I'm sure I'll see you next year. Yep.
We'll swing down to Phoenix here in a little bit.
We could exchange more Tim stories.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks for coming on again, man.
Yep.
Tim stories.
Nope. Anytime, man. It was good.
All right. For Andy Matlock, my brother, I'm Josh, and as always, thank you for being a friend. Wet banana.
All right. Okay.